Hi, everybody. Welcome to a very special episode of Behavior Bites. My name is Brad.
And I am Mike, and we are also joined by our producer Aaron, who's behind the camera. Hello. Okay, here's what we got going on today. We're doing an unbagging video of these kits that we put together with our Team Access funds. That these kits are available to anybody that works at ESU2 districts. So if this is something, we're going to do a video on bagging this stuff. If it's something you're interested in, get a hold of Jody Green. There's her email address, and she will coordinate getting these out to you. The whole concept of this is just engaging with kids in interesting, cool ways, and we have resources to help you do that.
Yeah.
So.
I also have great news. If we know that we have a lot of people that watch our Behavior Bites videos who aren't an ESU2 district up here in good old Nebraska. All right. We've got people who contact us from Minnesota and New Mexico and Texas and California. That's fantastic. And, Western Nebraska. If you are not one of our ESU2 schools, obviously, we cannot get you one of these exact kits, but we want you to look at these as examples of things that you could use to build relationships with your students. Here's the thing that Mike and I talk about a lot. There is a direct line that can be drawn and should be drawn between the mental health of our students and positive behaviors in the classroom. It makes everybody feel safer. It makes everybody feel more comfortable. That consistency, that reduction in variability is really helpful. And so investing time in the positive relationships that we build with our students is going to help the mental health of the student, and it's also going to help the flow of my classroom go a little bit more smooth. So that's really the point of what we're doing with this today.
Great point. All right, let's dig into it. First thing, check these bad boys out. So got some fidgets in here. You know how we feel about fidgets. They're great. Good thing for kids to do with their hands. I think they're lovely.
I've had some pretty tough conversations with kids where I'm like, they're just kind of squeezing on that while we're talking about the problem at recess, and it helps a lot with tough conversations.
All right. Next up, we have got a nice set of dominoes. Classic game. Love it. And Jenga. Similar. In my mind, these are pretty similar because they're a game, but they can also be used to build things with.
Yeah, keep this in mind, man. I mean, like, if you want to play Jenga by the rules or dominoes by the rules, my mom grew up in the South, played Chickyfoot. Chickyfoot, Mike. It's okay to play by the rules, but you know what? Most of my students just build with them, right? Stack them up, knock them over. It's all right. Be aware the sound can be a bit much for some people, so know your environment, know your population.
So these are something that I had not seen until we put these kits together, and this is a pretty basic, just a stacking game with these odd-shaped little cubes. Same thing with the Jenga and the dominoes. These can be used as just a stacking thing. There is a mindfulness to having to focus on stacking things. You do it with the Jenga, do it with dominoes, do it whatever you want. And that alone is just a great, like if a kid is kind of buzzing, to kind of bring them back down to earth a little bit, and just a nice way to, hang out with a kid and do something pretty easy. This would take about 5 seconds to explain what you're going to do with this stuff.
These are awesome as I'm hanging out with my kid, but honestly, I would probably also have a set of these in my calm down kit. So if my kid is kind of like, it's sort of soothing to be like, all right, I'm just kind of doing this. You can do that and have a conversation. It doesn't kind of get too much in the way of that, right?
Yeah, I love it.
All right, what else we got? I'm going to do this one.
All right.
All right, so this is a game that's unique to our actual kits that we've got. It's called Cubies. All right, and the short and the long of it is there are these little face cards that come with it, and if you follow the rules of Cubies, right, then it would be like a race game, like who can be the first one to create this face with the 3 face blocks that you're provided with. Like you can do that. However, because Mike and I, we like rules, but we don't always follow the rules, we immediately were like, okay, if we throw the rules off to the side, how else could we use this? What were one of the things you were talking about, Mike?
Just in general, it's like each one of these blocks, you flip the mouth upside down, you can make kind of a sad face. I could see using this with kids saying like, hey, why don't you make a face that kind of tells me what you're feeling right now? I think that would be great. They'd have to think about what they are feeling, and then they would have to match that with the construction of trying to find all the parts. Each one of these blocks, each 6 side has a different like face component on there, so you have to dig through it and search it. I really, really like these, and the colors are cool. I just think this is a great activity. And simple, but really, really a neat thing.
I immediately thought of my students on the autism spectrum, right? Some of those students have a really hard time recognizing facial expressions as being tied to certain emotions, right? And so I could totally see using this with some of my students where it's like, where I make a face that maybe looks like they're worried or happy or sad or upset, and asking my student, like, what do you think, what emotion do you think that person's feeling? feeling on this face right there. And I think that'd be a really fun way to kind of informally and casually teach facial recognition tied to emotion with those kids.
Yeah, I love it. Next thing, word dice. This is pretty simple, but I've used this, a similar type of thing with students before. Fun, fast, and easy. It's almost like a quick portable version of Scrabble. Each one of these dice here has letters on it with a corresponding number value. If you wanted to play by the rules, you roll the dice, build the biggest word that you can, keep track of your score, then you take turns going back and forth on that. They're pretty neat. So you could, again, just roll it and say, hey, what words do you see in there? You could do a ton with this. And again, it's focusing on this. You get to do things with your hands. I just think these are really cool too. So these are great.
Be prepared if you're working with kids that have some behavior issues. If they can spell, they're probably going to try to spell some inappropriate words. When I would play games that involved words with my students, I would say, this has to be school appropriate word, but because I'm such a nice guy, I will allow but. And so if the students spell but, I mean, listen, that's my classroom. You run it how you want, but be prepared. You're going to have but spelled with those letters at some point, right?
Yeah, yes, or more.
Yeah.
Many more.
Yeah,
So,
I saw
these are great.
you guys didn't see Mike playing with those off camera. The word but's
I'm
going to get
thinking-
spelled.
Right.
All right, Mike, this is like the coup de grace.
The Holy Grail.
Right?
Yeah.
All right.
So-
This fine box of aged mahogany, or whatever, that was made in China, contains probably my favorite thing that I've used with kids forever, and that is a couple decks of cards and some dice. Mike, can you talk about why you like the dice so much?
I'm a bit of a nerd, so I have a dice collection.
Yeah.
Of various ones. I have porcelain ones, I have gold ones, but dice are just so great because they're portable. You can do a ton with it. You can roll for high dice. You can resolve conflicts with dice. You can do, one of my favorite things to do, just as an activity real quick, I'd write the numbers 2 through 12 on a piece of paper, give each kid 2 dice, they roll it until they hit every sum that's on there. Super fast, takes 0 time, and it's great. Dice are just, they're just a lovely thing to do. And again, you're doing something with your hands. I think they're great. And I know you're a big card player, Brad, so.
I've been working with kids. I've been teaching for 20 years plus. And for that 20 years, I've gone everywhere. I'm like the backpack guy. I've always had a backpack. And in that backpack, I've always had a deck of cards and a deck of Uno cards. Mike doesn't really like Uno, so we're going to forget about that for a second. But Uno's great. But I always have decks of cards. And it's crazy the number of times that I've been thrust into a situation with students where it's like on the spur of the moment, I need to try and engage positively with a kid, whether that kid is escalated and I got to bring him, like talk him off the ledge, or whether it's like, dude, I got to step out. Can you run things in here for a little bit? Yeah. And grabbing a deck of cards, teaching kids very simple, easy to learn and engaging card games is a huge way to build relationships. And also, I talk a lot about working with kids who are emotionally fragile or escalated or volatile, and working with a student who's got all kinds of problems, the world's beating down on their shoulders. Playing a game of trash it's something that doesn't take a whole lot of brain power, and that kid can then talk about what's going on, and it kind of distracts them. It's just a fantastic way of building and maintaining a relationship. Talk about the presentation, Mike.
So I love this. One of the things that I often talk about when using positive reinforcement plans, if you can have reinforcers that kids can earn no other way, that it is the only way you can earn this reinforcer is if you're meeting your expectation goals. Yeah. Those are really strong reinforcers. And playing a game with a teacher is, if that's the only way you can earn it is getting your 10 stickers, then that's always going to maintain really high value to the kids. And I think this box is so great for that. So it could be, yes, you got your 10 points. We are going to break out the very special box. You can kind of con kids into thinking it's just cards in there, guys. But you can make it feel like it's a very special thing. Pull it out of your desk. We're using the special cards today, Brad, because you were that great.
You get the fancy cards.
So, okay, if you're an ESU2, working in an ESU2 school, get a hold of Jody Green, and she will coordinate getting these out to you. Again, like I said, these are limited number. Hopefully, most of you that are interested in this will probably be able to get it. We got more resources to come at some point in the future. I don't know, let us know if you have any questions or comments. So I'm excited about this stuff.
If you're not one of our ESU2 schools, obviously you can't have a kit, but we want you to look at these as examples. Like, oh, okay, I could go to Walmart and buy a deck of cards. I can hop on Amazon and buy a thing of blocks. Most parents, I've got like 3 busted up Jenga sets in my basement right now. All right. So these are just ideas and examples. The main thing is the activity is much less important as the time that you're spending with that kid. Find
100%.
something that you both like and engage with the kid in a positive way, no strings attached. All right, guys. In the meantime, go forth, do good things.